Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. We're joined by Jay Stevens, NHL insider for KSL Sports and host of the Utah Puck Report. Jay, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. We're looking for a little clarity here on the NHL Draft, but the Mammoth are drafting 19, so maybe you're looking for clarity too, and you won't get it until pick 19. I'm curious what the hit rate is on pick 19. What should the level of expectation be?
You know what? There have been some really big picks come at 19. I was researching that a little bit just the other day, and I was surprised to see at some of the guys that were captains of NHL teams that were picked at 19. And then there's also a bunch of guys that you find in the second round that bloom. That's the one thing about drafting at 18 years old, right? You're not 100% sure how these kids are going to be. So looking at what the Mammoth were actually in need of and you know, really everything they need to be better is already in the pipeline. So, you know, I did a lot of research over the last 10 days trying to figure out exactly what they need, just like I'm sure you guys have been doing as well and getting ready for the NBA draft that went really well. But yeah, I think Utah's got some spots they can fill. They got a couple of guys that might still be there. And then what I honestly think they're going to do is pull another goalie. And I haven't heard anybody else talk about that yet.
Yeah, we had somebody on, I can't remember, earlier in the week was talking about that very thing that, you know, what do they need? And certainly he mentioned that position. And so we'll see how that develops, and maybe they go not necessarily through the draft. Do you think there are other ways? And you know, they've got at least one prospect in the pipeline, but how do you think that they will address that particular need for what's best for this coming season?
Yeah, for this coming season, they're going to have to pick up a goalie off free agency. There's a lot of talk right now about Utah doing something with Detroit to pick up Dylan Larkin. And Detroit also has an up-and-coming goalie that's ready for the NHL in Sebastian Koso. And that could be something that really happens. And I didn't believe it when it first started. But if you look, if Utah really put together a good package, including this 19th pick, including next year's first-round pick, because honestly, I don't think Utah needs it at this point. They have so many prospects. They're going to be good for so long. They could skip a couple of years of first-round picks, pick up a player that they plug in right now. So if you put together a decent package, I know they haven't re-signed Barrett Hayton yet. There's a couple other pieces, even a Tanev that a team like Detroit would be interested in. And then package something else and put that together, you could end up with a up-and-coming AHL goalie that's ready for the NHL in Koso, and then you could also pick up Dylan Larkin if the package is good enough. And then that puts Utah in an unbelievable position for this upcoming season. If that's not what they do, there are some really good some free agent goalies that are on the market. I mean, there's some really big names, including Bobrovsky, Frederik Andersen, who both have won Stanley Cups in the last 2 years. And they're both free agents. Bobrovsky's going to want a lot of money, even though he's old. He's been in the league, 15, 16 years already. So you could see some of that happening, and those are all realistic. But really what the other real possibility is, there's some of those AHL goalies that will no longer be under waiver protection. So right now, if you pull a guy up and then you have to send him back down for something, another team could just claim him off waivers. And that's what happened with Bussy, who went on to win the Stanley Cup this year. So I found 3 goalies that are NHL ready that at some point in the first month of the season will get sent back down to their minor league team. And that's a chance that Utah could take and pull that up too, and just start with one of our AHL goalies. And we do have 2 experienced AHL goalies in the Utah franchise too, with Stauber and Matt Villalta, who everybody just loves both those goalies, their personality, their work ethic. So there are pieces there. So honestly, I would like to see Utah trade this pick.
There's also the theory that they got a lot of guys who are born in the 90s, right? So you're all 26 or older. And if you're drafting a teenager now, an 18, 19-year-old, you're drafting for at least like 3 years out. Isn't there a theory you can never have enough good, young, inexpensive talent? So just find a really good player. Who cares? Center, winger, defenseman, goaltender. You can't have enough good talent. If there's someone that the scouts really believe in and that the front office really believes in, just go get them. And it may not look like it fits now because they got a lot of talent in the pipeline. But if the player's really good, you need 3 or 4 lines. You need 3 pairs of defensemen. There'll be a spot for them when the time comes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of injuries in hockey too. So you do use minor league guys a lot. You get a lot of chances to see what you've drafted and how they're turning out. And just because you draft somebody now doesn't mean you're going to see them for 3 years. Like everybody just assumed Tijagindla was going to be in the lineup the next season, but they sent him back down to juniors for 2 years to cook, and there's no guarantee he makes the roster this year. And you're right; those guys are cheap. Your first 3 years are $970,000, and that's for every first round player. You get $970 up front, $970 a year for 3 years once you sign. So that does make sense. There is a goaltender that they've seen play a lot because he was playing with Iginla in Kelowna. A kid named Harrison Bodinger. He's going to end up playing at Denver University, who, in the hockey world, we called it Tenfer University because they had 10 national championships up until this year when they won their 11th. So I don't know what kind of a cute rhyme you're going to come up with, but this kid's going to be playing at Denver University for the next couple of years. He's already shown a real upward mobility as far as the last 2 years. He just keeps getting better and better. He had a great year in the WHL this year, and he's going to be on that team that's not only do they win, and a lot of times you don't look at goalies on winning teams, but this kid's played in a lot of hard spots and just keeps winning. So you're going to put him in Denver. They have great goalie coaches in Denver. They have a great overall coach in Dave Carl. So that could be the guy you go get. He's Colorado born. He's an American, from Arvada. He's a local boy basically as far as hockey goes for Utah. Colorado and Utah have been basically sisters for hockey for a long time. So that's kind of who I think they're going to pick just because of they've seen him a lot because they watch Iginla a lot. He has a lot of upward talent. And as far as the depth pool of prospects, they're a little light on goaltenders.
All right, I think I got it, Jay. Denver, since
Right.
they are at 10 and you want to go something catchy for 11, they're known as the Mile High, so they play at elevation. So when you play Denver, you play at 11 ovation.
I like it. Let's trademark it. I'll get T-shirts made.
T-shirts and ball caps coming. We got merch.
That's the best that I could do on such short notice, Amy.
That's way better than I could have done.
You mentioned about trade, and that's what trade out of the pick, and we've seen teams do that. I mean, the Knicks just did that on Tuesday. They traded out of their first-round pick because they didn't want to have to pay somebody, right? And so they got compensation, second-rounders, blah, blah, blah. How about also the opportunity you mentioned putting together a package, but maybe moving up rather than trading out?
Yeah, they're just, besides the top 3 guys in the draft this year, there really isn't a reason to try to move up. And even the top 3 is now debated on who's going to be the best because they had Gavin McKenna, who for the last 2 years is supposed to be the up-and-coming and a generational talent. He's the first one that's part of that experiment where he played major juniors and then played NCAA. And that's supposed to be the new finding tool to make this kid razor sharp. And there's a real debate whether or not he's even going to go first. So you got maybe your top 5 will be great. If you can't get number 1 or 2, I can't see moving up, especially when you have so many top 10 picks just chomping at the bit right now. And you're right, it's fine to sign one and put them in the minors, but you've got so many that are going to take up spots for the next 5 or 6 years that I can't see giving up anybody to move up unless somebody's willing to take Tanev and I don't even know what else you'd offer up. I know a lot of people keep bringing up Peterka. There's no way. Plus, he has a no trade. So I just can't see that making sense for Utah right now. But man, Bill Armstrong, he's told us what he's going to do, and he's stuck to this long-term plan. And but then he always has this little surprise, like bringing in Peterka, which was a great move last year, and getting Nate Schmidt, which surprised everybody and turned out to be a great move. So I wouldn't put anything past him. I just don't see that making sense for the team at this point.
The thing about Peterka, there were certainly some good things and some good numbers, but it wasn't really what people were hoping for. They were hoping for, the tape measure grand slam homer but given him a year, he's still relatively young and he gets traded. Is there a chance that he settles in and that this year looks a lot better than last year? Even though last year had some decent numbers in it, couldn't the goals and assists and the production just go off the charts in year two? Would that be that big a surprise?
It wouldn't surprise me at all. And that's the one thing I've been saying about Peterka the whole time. People keep comparing him to Doan. And Doan had a breakout year this year, which is great. He's in a different system. They're the same age. That's the other thing people keep forgetting. We traded age for age. They're the same age. Peterka is an offensive player. He had zero defensive parts to his game. And the Utah Mammoth really kind of cracked him down and said, hey, you're going to play both sides of the ice. You're going to learn to play defense and then play offense. And that's something that they didn't have him do in Buffalo, and he didn't have to do it in juniors. It's something they completely changed his game. So, yeah, coming back to year two, knowing the system better, they found a good place for him on the lines. I think you're going to see a lot more production out of him. And, I'd like to see him play more with Cooley. I thought he matched really well with Yamamoto, but they left him with Kerfoot and Carcone, and that seemed to really start finding that full game for him. I expect a little bit of a tweak on that line next year. Carcone's coming back. I don't know if they're going to re-sign Kerfoot. There's a lot of people fighting for those spots. But Peterka with Carcone and then something else there, another fast offensive player that can help defensively too and take a little bit of that pressure off him, you could see big numbers out of Peterka. And that's what Utah expected. They didn't expect him to come in and adapt right away. They knew he was going to struggle a bit fitting into the new system. And so they're fine with it. And I think this year is going to be a really big year for him.
I think that's a situation that they are facing in multiple situations because they have young talent, but it's tantalizing to want to just press on the gas a little bit and make a move that you think can help you in the immediacy, but the fear is giving up someone who can come up and then help you in the long term. And it's somewhat of a good problem to have because that means you have enticing prospects in the system that other people want. But for Armstrong and his people, it's something that he's going to have to contemplate annually for the next few years and decide. Now, if the big club wins, then you can wait. But if it gets there and just comes up a little short, you see what I'm saying? It's going to be a tantalizing possibility for management for what? How many years? The next 2 to 3?
Yeah, definitely the next 2 to 3 years. I mean, you're seeing these kids that want a spot on the team. And most of these kids, if you look at where they are drafted, the people that were drafted around them have already got NHL games. And normally you'd think, well, if they were with Arizona, they'd already be in the league because Arizona was a terrible team and they always got rid of their most expensive talent. But now that they're Utah, they're more established. You do have all that stuff. The best way I heard it described was you have all the pots, or you have all these parts to make your stew, and you've got your crock pot over here. Now you got to put all the parts in there, and then you got to let the crock pot do its thing. Quit opening it, quit trying to add other things, let everything season, let everything cook, and you're going to have an amazing stew, but it's not going to be this year. The Utah Mammoth are not going to win the Stanley Cup this upcoming season. It's 2 to 3, 4 years down the road, and you're going to have a lot of different names than you're used to right now. Keller will still be there. Cooley and Gunther will still be there. Krause will probably still be there. You anticipate Peterka being there. But then you're going to have Ginla, Denoye. I think Gabe Smith makes the team. Cole Baudouin. I mean, these are kids that are just chomping at the bit and ready to play. And then there are a lot of other teams they'd already be in the NHL. So let the crock pot do its thing, and you're going to have an amazing team. And they've done it. Like, I've never seen, I guess maybe it was St. Louis, but I've never seen a GM be as patient and as calculating as what Utah has right now. And it's pretty cool to watch. It's boring as a journalist, right? It's boring to be like, I'm waiting for some major big trade because they have the money and they have the potential and they have assets. But man, they're just letting that stew cook, and it's going to be fun when it's ready.
Yeah.
Okay, number one, I'm getting really hungry.
I use that crock pot thing example. I was making fun of my wife. She's gotten a lot better in golf, and I was telling another lady, "Oh yeah, and I know, but her cooking has really suffered." And she looks at me and she says, "That's what a crock pot is for."
If you're looking, you're not cooking. That's the old crock pot analogy. Quit looking at it. I need your wife to give me some golf lessons.
Hey, if she actually is very good. Yeah, club champion. Shh, keep it quiet. 2 times. I do think, though, that Bill's giving you the Sergachev deal and he's giving you the Peterka deal, so I think there's a part of him is saying, like, hey, Jay, how much you want out of me, huh? Come on.
Yeah, and if there's something there, he'll take it for sure, right?
Yeah.
But it's a cool, calculated move. It's not – and he says he'll come up with something and he'll call a couple other GMs and throw something at the wall and be like, hey, what about this? This works for us. This should work for you. Everybody's happy. Everybody's a little bit sad. And, that's how we got Peterka. That's how Utah got Sergachev. Nobody thought Sergachev would be traded. He was a day away from his no-trade kicking in. They'd won 2 cups. Nobody thought that was going to happen. So, I mean, that was a pretty bold move.
All right, Jay, we'll leave it right there. We appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
All right, I got to go get something to eat now. What's in the crock pot? Jay Stevens, NHL insider for KSL Sports, host of the Utah Puck Report. Find it at KSLSports.com. Find it on YouTube as well.